Hi guys, how is everybody? Hello, my name is Ijatu, and these two beautiful ladies are my schoolmates, classmates, and friends. So we're here today to talk about code switching. So let's get to it. I just wanna briefly give you guys what a brief definition, excuse me, of what code switching is about. Um, Code switching is basically when you're changing your accent, your tongue, your words when you're talking to different people. For instance, the way you talk to people in your family, in your workplace, or your school is different. So basically how you deal with that, that's the basic meaning to the lowest level so somebody can understand. So I'm here today to talk about code switching at the workplace, school, and family. So let's discuss, ladies. What is it like? How do you guys deal with code switching? When, how, and we can go step by step. First of all, what is code switching to you guys on your own definition or how you look at it?
No, go first, or should I go first? Shall I answer?
Go first because I'm still. Go ahead.
As you said earlier on, like code switching is basically when like you speak differently to different people. For example, like academic, the way you speak to like your professors, like different from the way you speak with your friends or your family members.
Right.
And yeah, that's basically what I think like code switching means.
Okay. What about you, Jariatu?
Well, I'm trying to kind of put this in my own word because I just on Google because I've never heard of that word code switching before.
Really? Interesting.
Never, yeah. But well, it says on Google that it's the practice of alternating between two or more language or virtual of language in a conversation. So basically, when you like speak more than two languages and stuff, like if you have two different friends or family members, one of them, for example, can speak French and the other one can speak English, right? And you just like
you're in between, you speak both.
Yeah, and you speak both to communicate with both of them. So I don't know, I guess that's what I'm trying to see. Well,
okay, well, you guys, that was a great definition of how you guys defined it. So for me, this is after my readings, before I'm doing this discussion, code switching is something that I don't know for you guys, but I do on a daily basis. You understand? Because as an African, which you guys are, of course, living here in the United States and how we communicate with people back home and here is totally different. You know what I mean? Because for me, I speak Fulani, I speak Timni, I speak Creole, I speak English. Those are 4 languages, yeah? And sometimes when I'm speaking with people, my accent, it changes. And my tone, even my tone changes, you know what I mean? And sometimes people here, they find it very difficult to understand what we're saying when we talk to them. For example, if I go to my advisor, I'm like, hello, I'm saying something. They have to say, can you please repeat that? Can you say that? And sometimes I kind of feel bad because like, why can't you understand me? Like, it's not my fault. We're made differently. We speak different languages. Like, at least put in some effort to understand what I'm saying. You know what I mean? And yeah, sometimes I try to speak more professional to them than my family, just so that we can be on the same page. And one thing I learned from one of my cosmates is that you have to be who you are. You have to be you. Speak the way you want to speak. Don't change your tone or your accent because of somebody else. And that is something that I'm going to start to apply from now on, because like when you speak with people, when I speak with my sisters, my tone is very confident, relaxing. Like I speak however I want, guys. But when it comes to other people, I have to choose my words. I have to change them. As Sierra Leoneans, our English is the British English. You understand? And when I came here, for instance, the words that we use, they use in England and similar with the words that we use in Sierra Leone. But when I came to America, they're quite different. I find it funny and difficult to pronounce them, Like sometimes you say, "Can I get some water?" They be like, "Sorry." I'm like, "I mean water." That's you see the differences, you know what I mean? So like, guys, I just want to ask you, first of all, how do you deal with, or should I say, how does it affect you when it comes to professional wise?
Just like you said, like, based on your accent, people can tend to like judge you in a negative way. Like some people automatically think that because you have an accent that you're not like qualified enough or like smart enough or good enough. They tend to have like a negative view of you based on your accent and the language that you speak. Some people think that some people may not even want to listen to you because you sound differently from the way that they sound, or because they're used to like listening to like different way, like the way you say things are like different from the way they say it. And so because of that, they might not like want to listen to you because they're not used to hearing people like say things that the way that you say it.
And continue, Fatima. I'm sorry to interrupt.
So because of that, because you want to like adapt or like to that environment, you tend to like
become somebody that you're not.
Right. Yeah. You tend to like you start changing the way that you speak so that you can fit in that what's the word in that
fit in their category or something. Right. And what you're saying, Fatima, I just want to like, you just said it. That is what they call, in my readings, that's what they call cultural bias. You understand? For example, the way we Black people, the way we communicate to each other, some people be like, "Oh, they're thugs, or they're not professionals." You know what I mean? They're not qualified, like you said. They look at you, not just your skin, but the way you communicate, and they just put you down. Like that is frustrating. It's something that have happened. It happened before, it's happening, and it's going to happen. It's like a cycle. It keeps going and coming. It's never going to stop until we work so hard and put a stop to it. You know what I mean? By being who we are, accepting what we are, not changing a thing about us, Jared, what about you?
I just want to point out that, every individual one of us have an accent, even the American. The way they speak here is way different than England, different country. Like the English is way different. But I have dealt with this language barrier before. Like sometimes people will think like, when I say something, they'll be like, "Do you speak English?" Like, in your mind, you'll be like, "What am I speaking then?" Even though my accent is heavy and you can't understand some of the word. Like, for example, one of this past weekend, we went somewhere like in DC, and this girl, because I pronounced my campus, the campus, COMPUS, the same pronunciation as campus.
Okay.
She was like confused. She was like, campus is like the one you use for direction, right?
Right.
Yeah, she think that's the one I'm saying. Because I was trying to have a conversation with her saying, I'm not going on campus again. She was like, campus? Or, so she was kind of laughing at the same time. I told her that that's how I speak my English, and my accent is way different than hers, And I mean, we should never feel bad about like our accent, it's very unique. And yeah, so like sometimes you just have to deal with it and move on,
Yeah.
That's
so guys, what you guys said is totally right, but let's just look at another part of this. When it comes to code switching, without just talking, it also affects our writing. Do you understand? The way we write, right? So like when we write, for instance, like I said earlier, our accents, our English is similar to the England English, and the way we spell back home with the English in Britain is the same. But when we come here, it's totally different. For example, you can spell something when you like sometimes I read newspapers or maybe news from the internet, and I find some words. I have to Google them. I'm like, oh, it's the same word. You understand? And when you click on the pronunciation, it's basically the same pronunciation, but here they sometimes they don't pronounce the T on the words, you know what I mean? And we pronounce the T.
Right.
And one thing that makes our accent so unique is that when we talk, that individual that we're talking to becomes so curious. They want to know more how we sound, you know what I mean? And I think that is one thing that we shouldn't let go of, you know what I mean? We have to accept that, And another thing is, I wanted to know if I'm the only person that only experienced this as a person. When we code switch, for example, when you guys are talking to somebody, if I'm near you and you're talking to a professional, let's just say your professor or your classmate, somebody that you don't know, and you and I speak the same language, do you guys on a normal basis switch the languages? Because I do that. If I'm talking to my sister and we're at the store, I don't want somebody that speak English to understand what I'm saying. I just switch to my native language, you know what I mean? And I start talking about this thing, And I feel like that's a great advantage when it comes to code switching. So what about you guys? How do you guys deal with that?
I mean, at first I didn't really think of like that as code switching, but now that you mentioned it, I do that. Like, for example, I speak different language. I don't speak English when I'm talking to my parents. Right. But like when I'm talking to like my professors or like my friends, I do speak English. So like at home, I speak a different language. And when I'm in school, I speak a different language. So I guess that's also like code switching, like you mentioned.
What about you, Jaria, too?
Well, I only speak like Creole. That's it. But like that have happened to me before, especially at work. Like I have a friend, a coworker, we from the same country and stuff. Sometimes we'll be speaking our native language and stuff, and a customer will just come, and then I would just instantly start speaking that same language to that customer. They'll be like, huh? I was like, oh my God, sorry. And then go back to the same conversation. It happens a lot. But I mean, I don't know what to say, but you just have to I don't know.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. So when you guys are doing this code switch, when it comes to changing the language, right? So we know that when we code switch, we change the language. Sometimes we change our words, we change our tone, our accent, like all the stuff, we change them. And the way we communicate with people that we know and don't know, professional or not, is totally different. You know what I mean? And for me, when I code switch with my even sometimes I do within my family, my parents will be sitting here and probably talking to my sister, you know what I mean? Because our parents, of course, their English isn't like ours, but sometimes I switch. I said something in English, maybe just abbreviate something that my parents don't understand, but my sister totally get me. You know what I mean? And I feel like code switching is one thing in communication that is so big, people don't pay attention to it. You know what I mean? Guys, this has been great. Where our time is up, but I enjoy talking about code switching with you guys. This was a great discussion. So if you guys want to add anything, please go ahead and do so. Yeah, it's been great.
I mean, like, I don't really have anything else to add. I think we already said like basically everything that code switching is.
Right. What about you, Jarrett?
Well, I just want to add one last thing. I just remembered this. So, my mom, she speak Creole and stuff, Sometimes right. I would just code switch and speak the English word and stuff. And I would use a word, she would think like, that's disrespectful. Like when she talk, I'd be like, come on, mom. She was like, that's disrespectful because she never heard of that word before, right. And she think that meaning is like different, is disrespecting her and stuff, and then she was acting some way. So,
but then you can say the same exact way to your friends, and they understand it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And sometimes the words you use to our parents, which is in English, when you use it to our native language, it doesn't mean it's not a bad word. It doesn't mean anything bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, thank you so much for being part of this. I appreciate you guys so much. This was great.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
And I don't even know the word code switching unless you bring it up.
But now you know.
Yeah.